welcome back to episode 43 of Rebooked, the show where we talk about all the men and women slapping me in the middle of the square circle and story they telling right in the process. That's right, people. I'm GB, you got Jake, you got Matt. We're going to talk about some stuff here today. On today's show, we're going to finally live up to the name of this program and rebook something. All right. We're also going to be talking about the latest storylines from WWE and AEW. And finally, we're going to be previewing TNA Bound For Glory, which is this weekend. You want to make sure you get that pay-per-view. But first, as we've been doing for the last few weeks, a Bama update from Jake.
I don't want to.
It was a tough one, man. This was a tough one. This one stung the nostrils. How you doing, Jake? You good?
You gonna be okay? You gonna make it?
No, I'm very frustrated. I'm very, very frustrated. I don't know how else to say it other than that. I'm frustrated.
I texted Jake, and Jake is like, the coaching staff needs to go. Just like, he's like, everyone needs to go.
Well, I don't know that it. Look, it's tough. I do think coaching is to blame, but it's like,
who'd they lose to?
Tennessee, who's a big rival.
Okay.
Rough.
And it's like they're trying to shoehorn guys into a scheme that don't fit the scheme. You know, I mean, we see it with wrestlers all the time. Like trying to put them in a position that they're clearly not fit to do.
That's called synergy. Look at that.
Whether it be their styles don't match or they're not as great on the mic or whatever, and just having them try to do. So I think that's a big part of the problem.
Yeah.
I think our coaching staff is trying to have. I think Kalen DeBoer is trying to have Nick Saban guys fit the Kalen DeBoer scheme, and they don't.
Damn.
They just don't.
Damn it. I love it. I love your passion. I truly do love your passion for this, man. And weirdly enough, because of your passion for it, made me get back into baseball. And just in time to do so, because the Yankees are going to the World Series, baby. The Big Apple gonna bring home a title. Number 28. Number 28.
A coast-to-coast series.
It's actually really cool. Please. It's actually really cool, though. It should have been the Mets, though. Honestly, it should have been the Mets. It should have been the Subway Series.
It should have been the Mets.
Subway Series, because who cares? Who cares about the Dodgers, you know?
Who cares about the Mets?
I do. I'm a New Yorker. I mean, I don't care about the Mets as much as the Yankees, but I care about the Mets.
No. See, that attitude
more than I care about
is
the Dodgers.
Bullshit. That attitude is bullshit. This was like when Auburn was in the national championship years ago, and people were like, "Are you going to cheer for Auburn because they're in the SEC?" No, I hope they get destroyed. I hope they embarrass the SEC. I want no.
Stick to your guns. Yeah.
You know, no, okay. None of this. Like gee golly, I hope the people from our state win. No.
Yeah. No,
I don't.
Well, you know, that's the difference between people from Alabama and New York, I guess. No, honestly, my dad every year.
What principles?
My dad, though, every year, he's like, all right, son, it's going to be a Met Yankee World Series and a Jet Giants Super Bowl. I'm like, Dad, that Super Bowl's never happening.
Never.
And I hate to break it to you. Oh, man. Matt, what you got going on this week? How you doing, buddy?
I mean, not too much. I had a wrestling show going on down in Florida. And then, you alluded to it at the beginning. We're getting ready for Bound For Glory.
Yeah.
Coming up this weekend in Detroit, which is fun because I get to drive and I can sleep in my own bed after the last show. So that's always nice.
Yeah, that is a power move for sure. When I got to do for VCT champs in Los Angeles, oh my God. When I got to do that for Barclays and Overwatch finals, oh my, I lived 3 stops away from Barclays. It was amazing. I would wrap up the show, hop on the N train, make my way. Actually, no, for me, I would think it was the Q. And I would head right back home. And then everyone.
And they make fun of Californians for you hop on the 101 to the 10 to the you guys do it with trains,
sir. Yep. Public transportation is the best thing that society has ever contributed to its growth.
I have been on public transportation, and I disagree.
Well, I guess if you're here in LA, then probably not the best. But Matt, you're from Chicago, you know.
Oh yeah, I take the subway to the airport every week.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. It's I
real
miss
city.
living in New York.
It's impossible to get anywhere. That's what it. That's a real
that's
city.
a real city. Yeah, this 15-minute city.
By the time
crap,
you get there, you're upset that you even went in the first place. And no, LA traffic gives you the excuse to not go anywhere, to not do anything. It's great.
It's by the way, we do.
The city that invented flaking has given us an excuse to flake in traffic.
I was gonna say, Jake, you also ran into a wall the other day, like literally.
Oh yeah, what happened?
What happened to you? You got a scab too. You joining Matt?
So yeah, you can't. I don't know how well you can see it. It's up here. Yeah.
It's a
little mark right there.
You call that a wound?
It has since healed. It has since healed for the most
Try
part.
gigging yourself. What happened?
I was slapped by a dumpster. I was slapped in the face by a dumpster.
How?
Like the flap came down like the old.
Yeah. So
you got clamshelled.
I put it up.
You got Pretty Woman.
I waited. It stayed there. I started putting the recycling in the bin, and then that son of a bitch just bam.
Did you feel it when it hit you?
I mean,
or no. Because sometimes I'm talking about like the scab, like the cut. Sometimes you don't notice it. Like you'll get hit, and sometimes.
Oh no!
Yeah,
it felt. I came inside and asked, "Am I bleeding?"
That's what I was wondering.
Because,
Did you feel like you were bleeding?
So did she.
Yeah.
It left it.
I'm out. I'm sorry.
It left a mark all the way down my face for the whole day. I had a mark right here. I looked like yeah.
Bro, that's crazy.
It was crazy.
It like hit a vein or some shit like that. Like,
it was like a sharp piece of it just came and wah.
Damn.
Just slapped me like that.
It's so scary.
Yeah.
We're just fleshy meat bags, bro. You know, in water. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So why is everybody thirsty? Why is it if we're all made of
piss it out.
70% water?
Speaking of, take a swig of water for the working man.
Hell yeah.
A true working man, you know, the person you can actually get behind for right now. All right, well, let's go ahead, though, and dive into our topics for today. So our first discussion topic, because when we made the show, we thought it'd be a really cool idea to sometimes talk about moments in the history of professional wrestling that maybe could have been tweaked, and maybe could have been adjusted. But see, here's the problem. Every time we try to do that, we talk too damn much. So to fix that, I have added a 10-minute timer that we have forced to follow. All right, so we have 10 minutes in this section. Our first topic of this 10 minutes total. All right, 10 minutes total. The topic of discussion is who else should have ended the streak. I saw this on Reddit. I thought it was a pretty cool discussion. As we all know, Brock Lesnar ended Undertaker's streak. It was controversial. We have some thoughts. So, fellas, 10-minute timer. You go ahead and do this. It's on the board. Set. You ready? Who wants to go first before I hit the start button?
I don't even need 10 seconds.
Okay, so then, all right. You know what?
I don't think
we're gonna need 10 minutes.
I don't think that we will either.
You think? But we're a bunch of yapping yellies. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. Here we go. All right, Matt, you're first.
I think the common logic, and I think it is the correct logic, that exact time may have been a teeny tiny bit early, but even given what else happened on that same event, I think you could have pulled that trigger. Bray Wyatt. I think it is such a, not only was he just a rising star who people saw a lot in, were ready to put stock in, just as a guy in the back, like they were ready to do that, as we saw them eventually do over time more and more. But like the spiritual successor to that character. It would have been so you could argue it was maybe a hair early at that time. He was having the match with Cena that year. That was really good, really great story.
Yeah.
Put Cena over, which a lot of, young and hardcore wrestling fans didn't like either. But I think that could have been, I think he was along enough where you could have pulled that trigger. And especially seeing what he did later, like he was sticking around. He wasn't going to flash in the pan. He wasn't going to burn out in 6 months or whatever. There was a lot of longevity to him. So I think, I don't know. In hindsight, it's the obvious answer, but I think Bray would have been perfect.
Yeah.
I 100% agree.
Okay, so now
100% agree.
Wait a minute, because you 100% agree. but who else? Who would have if Bray?
Don't all shout my name.
Let's say Bruce. Let's say Bray.
NXT's the drama king comes up from catering because he has to be there for his job to hang out backstage.
You worked this story in your head, didn't you? You worked this narrative.
No, what I did is I worked a match at WrestleMania Access at 8 a.m. that morning. So that's why I didn't come out and try to mess it all up. But anyway.
That's fair. All right, Jake. So I do agree with Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt, excellent choice. And I think I knew immediately Bray Wyatt was going to be picked. But what about if you had to pick someone else other than Bray Wyatt? And I can also get a list of his opponents too, if you want to go through that too.
Well, there's someone who beat him a few years later at WrestleMania 33 that I think it could have been. No, I'm not talking about Roman Reigns. I'm talking about time. I'm talking about Father Time is who should have ended the streak. It should have just because if the rule is someone in this argument, if the rule is that someone has to break it,
yeah,
other than Bray Wyatt, I mean, Roman makes sense because he was lined up to be the next guy at the time. I don't think it would have been, I don't think people would have liked it.
Yeah.
Because, that's kind of at the point where, that was the point of his first run where nobody wanted Roman to be in that position.
Yeah.
But that was also because he was being pushed as a face. Now, if you had done the turn earlier, which so many people, myself included, wanted for him to turn heel early, then he would have been perfect to beat Undertaker, I think.
Yeah.
If we're looking at the people that he faced.
Yeah.
But I don't see how it's not Bray Wyatt. That was right. That was a year or two before he won his first championship, I think. It was right around the time that they were putting him back together with the Wyatt family.
Yeah.
It just there's no opponent that makes more sense than Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
And I think if I've heard correctly that Taker wanted to lose to Bray. I don't know. I may be.
That was a rumor that I had heard as well, but yeah, it's always a tough one to kind of lean on. I would say though, okay, so let's run with the hypothetical Bray Wyatt wins, right? Mm-hmm. Then where would you have liked to have seen Bray Wyatt? Because we kind of saw what happened with Brock after the win, and how Brock kind of just got put on a rocket ship and he was always on a rocket ship, but
right.
He was very much on an island of his own. Yeah, I do agree with that. I forever felt like it made little sense if the idea of the streak was to put someone over. But it became abundantly clear that was not the idea of the streak. The idea of the streak was to, I guess it was
an accident for starters.
I guess so. Yeah. But it felt like it just evolved into, it was like, hey, this is this thing, that's a draw. He can't keep going. The best option is the person who's the most believable. And he just went with, because it was the most believable. Honestly. Yeah. Like when you think about it, Brock Lesnar looked like he was beating on an old man in that match.
Oh my God. It's a different train of thought within but it's not like it was not the wrong choice in a lot of ways. I know a lot of hardcore fans and everything really wanted an up and comer, and that I think has a great story to tell. But you're right, he was believable. He was one of the most dominant forces, and who else to beat an incredibly dominant force than the more dominant force, right? It's a battle of titans, and I think that's probably what the old man wanted at that point. We need a bigger, badder Titan to take down Zeus off Mount Olympus kind of thing. Yeah. Not, a young, scrappy kid, who gets the pat on the back. That wasn't for Taker. You know what I mean? Maybe that would be for somebody else retiring or whatever, but, it got so built up. But I still stand by my thought.
Yeah, no, fair. But you know what? There is one person who I think would have been a better option. Funny enough, and I know some people might disagree with it, But I actually would have liked to have seen what happened off of this, and I think it would have been CM Punk in WrestleMania 29 in New York.
That was a really good build-up. That was a really good build-up with the urn and
it had everything to make you believe that Punk was going to weasel away this win, and it would have been perfect because I think that there was like poetic like symmetry in the 20-0, so like they probably wanted to get the 20-0. So Triple H defeating him at WrestleMania, making it 19-1 doesn't sound as sexy. Right. Mm-hmm. But so you get 20-0 and then you get 20-0. Can he become 21 or 20-1? Like that looked a lot better. And they even like played off of that as well with the walkouts too. Like it was so well done, but it was very abundantly clear that CM Punk did not have the faith or the backing of whatever was going on in WWE at the time. Because that's just, it would have been a perfect opportunity for that. But lost opportunity indeed. We have 2 minutes and 30 seconds left for this, which I think is incredible.
Here's why it's Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt. No, I'm just joking.
No, actually, there's one last person I wanted to propose. There's one last person I wanted to propose. All right, because I think it actually would have been pretty damn funny. How hilarious would it have been if A-Train and Big Show had defeated The Undertaker at WrestleMania.
Are you just going back through the people he as if it would have just ended at some other point?
I just looked at it. I'm like, bro, can you imagine if they were just like, nah, it just makes more sense for him to lose here against Big Show and A-Train.
I mean, it is 2-on-1.
Oh, that would have been actually
two large, huge dudes beating the shit out of you.
Can you imagine the timeline though? I would be interesting. What would have happened? A-Train becomes the world champion.
Co-world champions. And they rule.
They end up doing the Lay Cool storyline, but they end up doing it for A-Train and Big Show, So they're like sharing half a championship. Oh man,
this
that would have
been
been
giant title that's bigger than the Crown Jewel title that like clicks together and fireworks go off on their entrance.
It's like the Dragon Ball Patora coming together to form another you guys so much Dragon Ball cheese.
Yeah, is that what happened with Lay Cool? What was, I remember they had the split, they shared the Divas title.
Yeah.
Did they defend it like Freebird style? Like either one of them could do it at any given defense?
I think so.
If not, somebody should do that.
Yeah, somebody should do that.
Somebody should be U.S. champion or Intercontinental champion or something like that with like a partner who helped and like do some loophole. Ends up being like a Freebird rule.
What's his face? Miz and what was his damn name? Alex Ryder?
Or Riley?
Alex Riley.
Yeah, Alex Riley. That would have been a cool one. Like sharing a title between them. That story went nowhere.
It's got to be two people that hate each other.
That's true too.
It's more interesting.
Yeah, it's funnier. Unless
it's
like
when Bryan Danielson and Kane did I Am the World Tag Team Champions.
Yeah.
I liked that. I thought that was great.
It was great. Well, guys, by the way, look at this. We made it. 10 seconds. We made it. Well done, everyone. We kept our thoughts clear and succinct in 10 minutes flat. All right, folks. Well, go ahead and sound off in the comment section down below. Who do you think should have ended the streak? Do you agree with what we said here? Should have been Bray Wyatt? Could it have been CM Punk? Or do you just felt like Brock Lesnar was always the right choice? We want to hear from you guys. But that, of course, moves us over to our next topic of discussion. It was actually mentioned quite briefly because there's a terminology in anime. And I've learned that, Matt, you don't watch anime. And
not religiously, no.
Jake, I'm assuming you don't watch anime either.
Although I did just learn.
No, I don't.
I
watch football.
As Jake brought to our attention weeks ago about the amazing Back to the Future musical adaptation.
Yes.
I did learn there is an Attack on Titan stage musical. Yeah. And I was seeing clips of it this weekend, and it's freaking wild.
Yeah, it's actually pretty nuts. But there's a terminology in anime called the side arc, which is usually a story that happens in between two big stories, right? So like you have, like in this instance, right, like let's say WrestleMania 40, right? And then you have like, I don't know, Survivor Series, right? And then those are like your two big arcs. But then in the middle of it, the heroes would go on a different quest. right? And do
a
something,
side
a side quest, if you will.
like in a video game.
And
I've
that's
played
why
video games.
I feel like the Crown Jewel Championship feels like an anime side arc because everything about it screams like it's there, but there's like way more important things happening all around it. But they keep on, in the show, they keep on making it feel like this Crown Jewel Championship is something important. We know it's not. We know it's nothing. It's just...
Well, you don't know until you do it. So I'm going to retranslate it back into like freaking Skyrim, or like essentially, which Triple H was essentially the hooded vendor who saw Cody and Gunther and was like, fare thee well, traveler. I heard the story of an ancient tome locked in a mountain. Do you dare go on it? You're like, I'm supposed to go like kill the dragon, but damn, what kind of stats are on that thing that's hidden in the mountain? Let's go check it out.
Yeah.
And then you do it and you're like, this is okay. Crap, I got to do the main quest.
But that is how it feels like, though. It feels...
Yes, 100%.
But I want to be clear here. I'm not trying to present this as a bad thing. In fact, I actually think... that's fair. I actually think it's kind of cool because I don't really know when they've done something like this before, where I've seen a story...
Done something
Saudi
like
Arabia show?
Every Crown Jewel. Every single Crown Jewel.
Every single one.
Well, every single Crown Jewel happens in its own universe.
You're not wrong.
World.
You're not wrong. I guess the reason why I'm saying this one feels a little bit different is because of the way that they're telling the story with Cody, Randy, KO, how that has kind of blended about. But then on the other side, right, when they go to Monday Night Raw, they kind of just like act like everything, we're just moving forward, right? Like everything's fine. We're just interviewing Gunther for this belt. And then Gunther's talking about how Cody doesn't have, any friends anymore and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I just really like the way that they're doing this. I think it had no business being as, interesting as it ended up being for me. Do I care about the Crown Jewel Championship? Not really. But I have been enjoying the way that they've told the story that has got us up to this point. But Jake, what were you going to say?
Well,
Sorry.
I think the way they've been telling the story is a necessity because Crown Jewel doesn't matter.
That's fair. It's completely fair.
Yeah. I mean, it's like we said, we don't really know if this new title is going to have any kind of lineage. If you just win it once and it's like
they're talking like it will. They're talking like it will.
Defend it. Like, I don't know. Yeah. It exists in its own universe. It's like it. Yeah. And all of them do. So this was a necessity of how they had to tell the story so they could set up Crown Jewel.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really.
But it's chocobo racing.
Go on.
Like it's kind of the same thing. Like I said before, like it's a thing, and you win a trophy, but like it has no bearing on the main thing you're doing and getting you to the end of the game or whatever. But like it is one of those things that like a good number of people are like, yeah, I did that, and like I grinded out a little bit until I won that damn trophy or whatever. But does it have an impact on the world at large? No.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? But it's a shiny little trophy. It's a neat little thing. It's a neat little trophy. I mean, that's what it is. And I will say this Crown Jewel, with it being champion versus champion, gives it a little, and hopefully again, it's all going to be about, I like setting up legacies like that. If this is at least for maybe the fall Crown Jewel, I know they always do 2 a year. If we could finally, they've always been so random with the spring one being King, Queen of the Ring, and the fall one being this Crown Jewel champion, like champions versus champions thing.
Yeah. Felt like they found something here with this.
Let's stick with it, and let's not let it be. And because then it's still totally its own thing, but at least it gives it a side quest like purpose, as opposed to just like trying to randomly pull matches out of their butts. Yeah. Like to book in 2 weeks and be like, this is a big deal. It's Logan Paul versus Kane. Or something like that. Like, because it's just whoever's champion on each show have to fight each other.
Moldy Lunchley or whatever.
Moldy Lunchley.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
It's built. Hopefully they stick with it because it's a built-in modicum of story without having to book a story, like pretend to write a story. It's just, hey, whoever the champions are at the time, They got to test their might against one another, and then we'll book a few special matches around it.
Yeah,
it feels like the NBA Cup that
yeah,
they just
something
introduced,
like the All-Star game,
where it's like we need to manufacture drama, so let's have an in-season tournament.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does the in-season tournament work, and how does it affect the actual
Finals
NBA championship?
Yeah.
Like, does it have any bearing on that? Well, it counts, but like these games are kind of play-in games, and you kind of have to have this right. And it's like we've just created this whole thing. Just to make who happy? Yeah, I don't know. It's just
Yeah, it made a mess for no reason. I agree. I found it interesting. I saw a lot of people talking about it online too, about the anime side art thing. Go for it.
Right. But the other thing too about this is like this doesn't really like it feels very telegraphed that this is A, going to be won by Gunther, and B, the women, whoever wins on the women's side doesn't really matter because they're both heels. This feels like a title made for a heel.
Yeah.
Like it feels like a heel would only give a shit about this title.
Sure, I see what you're saying there.
You know, because it doesn't seem to have bearing on anything else.
Yeah. And look, and Cody, I gotta give him credit. My guy is doing everything in his power
selling it hard
to sell this title, because that whole promo on SmackDown was like, after a while, I'm like,
just thinking,
all right, brother, we get it. This belt is, it's important. It's totally important to you.
Like
we
looks
see it.
cool, but we at the same time can't criticize AEW for having too many titles.
Yeah.
And then try to figure out how forcing this title into the ethos of WWE.
Yeah. Which I don't think it will be. I think it's just going to literally sit here. It's going to be like the greatest Royal Rumble trophy. It shows up once or twice on TV. They're like, wow, look at that. And then they move on with their lives.
It's
and then
the Andre the Giant Memorial.
And right now it is very shoehorned. But again, I keep coming back to it. Like, if this does get established, it could be a cool thing in 4 or 5 years. I don't know how long this relationship's going to last, but I mean, eventually you can have actually people talking about, be like, man, the champion of like the best of the best fought for this thing, you know, the champion, the leaders of these brands. And then you're like, yeah, they did. Like, man, it was Cody and Gunther first. And now it's like Roman Reigns and freaking Gunther next year. And it's Goldberg and the Undertaker coming out of retirement to fight for it. I don't know.
Yeah, not after. Oh boy.
Yeah, you know.
So it could be. We'll have to see.
It could be. It could be. Either way, though, I thought that was a cool thing I was seeing people talk about online, and I'm glad we had a chance to yap about it, because Crown Jewel just feels like a weird event. I think we've been treating it as such. All these Saudi events always feel weird outside of King and Queen of the Ring, which I was genuinely excited for because of the King and Queen of the Ring. But, you know, there have also been some other great storylines happening in the world of AEW as well. We're going to talk about all that and more when we come back right after this. Hey, everyone, if you want to join us on Discord, you can go ahead and click the link in the description down below right here on YouTube, as well as on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Join us on Discord so you can be a part of the conversation where we talk about all sorts of things happening in the world of professional wrestling, on top of the fact that we're just a couple nerds. We just like talking about wrestling, talk storylines, talking all the fun stuff. Check us out on Discord. You can click the link down below. We'd love to have you join us. It's a good time, and we'll see you there. Welcome back, everyone, to Rebooked, and we just talked about all the things going on in WWE, and even did some light rebooking, if you will. But we are now going to yap about what has been happening over in AEW, because we're finally starting to get some answers. I think here, Jon Moxley had a promo on Collision where, if I'm reading this wrong, please feel free to correct me, but he effectively had said, like, he's seeing what's going on with AEW, how it has been, you know, essentially, you know, in the dumps. It's not what he wants it to be, and he's going to change it by hook or by crook. He's going to be the one that controls it, because he has always been that guy. And Jake, I actually think, narratively speaking, that is very fucking true.
I called it.
Yeah, you did call it.
I called it last week. This is, where the title is not what is important. It's what comes with the title that Moxley believes is important. He thinks that no one is taking AEW seriously, both outside and inside, maybe more importantly, he thinks no one inside AEW is taking it seriously.
Yeah.
And he's wanting to turn that around. And we're seeing that leak into other storylines as well. I thought the backstage segment on Collision with Cassidy was great, where Cassidy was just like, I'm not a leader.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that too.
I've, every time I go in to these matches, I change. I'm a different person.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's what I want to be or what I want to do.
Dude, it's going to be Cassidy. It's going to be Orange Cassidy.
I think it's got to be OC.
Yeah. It's got to be him, man. He's literally been just there since day one. The guy who everyone believed was a gimmick character, who was a gimmick, but took the gimmick and actually made it into something very legitimate. You know what I would love to see? I would love to see him slowly become, whatever it is that Mox is trying to, pull out of him or become this leader. And I would love to see Darby Allin go the other way. I would love to see Darby Allin kind of start to turn heel. I think that would be interesting. Because now imagine a hateful, angry Darby Allin, willing to do anything and put his body on the line to take what he thinks is rightfully his, because he's also been there from day one too. Yeah.
Here's food for thought. Here's something to nibble on. Put it in your mouth.
Okay,
Chew it a little bit. Okay. Right. On that note, and maybe one could lead to the other, Jake, of what you're saying, but we did reference the shot at the end of Wrestle Dream was Cassidy and Darby forced to watch what happened. They're in a similar position. They're these kind of like up and coming guys who were really created and blown up by AEW. Two very kind of strange outside the box, like personalities, like gimmicks, whatever you want to call it, within the wrestling world, but on opposite spectrums of that. Orange Cassidy, Mr. I don't care. I'm loose, casual, doesn't show emotion about anything. Darby, who's so extra and goes to 11, especially physically, the physicality of the things he does and is willing to go through. What if Darby Allin is the Tyler Durden to Orange Cassidy's like Ed Norton? Like, wake the F up. Like, we got to bring out another side of you. Like, I get it. You don't care. There's a lot to not care about. But hot damn, sometimes you got to throw your hand in the fire, pour the lye on your damn wound, and, and you got to feel something. And maybe he wakens that up, and the two of them kind of lead the charge together, because I think they both fill that role of these young guys who were built in AEW. And then maybe it could even lead to, ultimately they're successful, but it does lead to a Darby heel turn down the line as a result of something blowing up there between the two of them. But in this story, maybe they help each other kind of.
Yeah. I just want, one of the big things that I'm hoping that AEW just continues to improve upon is how they establish their villains' like motivation, if you will. Because sometimes it just feels very like, it's just super transparent. So it's like really hard to like invest into like the villain's desire. Like, I was really into Christian Cage versus Swerve Strickland because I felt like that was a really interesting narrative, an interesting story of, here's this guy who just lost the TNT championship. He gets gifted an opportunity because he's the minion of the Young Bucks and now can actually walk in and maybe even steal the championship. Like, I really like the way that they had built that. And then other times just like, man's mad and wants title. And it's like, it's okay. You could do that too. But I think in Darby's case, to Jake, your point, you do have a lot of incredible justification to take a character that has been beloved and actually turn him into someone who's bitter and angry and mad. They did it with Hangman. So they've proven that they can do these really long, well drawn out narratives. And I think you might be onto something. I think there could be something there with Darby maybe lingering into the dark side.
Right. And but what I think would be interesting too, is if it's like, because this is one thing I think that wrestling kind of gets wrong sometimes, is heels don't have to like each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't have to like each other just because they're heels. They can still have diametrically opposed beliefs and
same
desires. And the same for baby
Mm-hmm.
faces. Agreed.
Yeah.
And I think that would be something interesting, like, if we have Darby go down this path that, we just see Moxley there in the corner who's like, yes, yes, like bring out that hate. And Darby's like, no, you can go to hell too, by the way.
Yeah.
Because, this is the man that everybody's making me. This isn't because of you. It's not because of him. It's not, or whatever. And still, like, it can be a thing of like, look, we have a mutual opponent now, but when this is done, so are we.
Yeah.
I think that would be something that would be super interesting. It's more complex. It's more complex than just he bad, so I bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we align because we both
Right.
bad. Yeah. No,
Right.
there's got to be a little bit of nuance there. And I think that's been a thing we've been getting introduced to more and more and more in all of the promotions. Everyone's, trying to dangle a little bit more nuance in some of these stories. It works in some, it doesn't work in others, but I'm glad that
complicated characters are more interesting.
Yeah.
They just are.
And that's coming from a writer. So, I mean, I don't know that shit, like I can't speak to that intelligently. All I know is what I feel. And what I feel is that there have been some interesting heel turns as of late that a lot of them have made sense. A lot of them have not made sense. But one of them that has been really cool for me has been Kevin Owens. As we had talked about before, we don't even really know if he's a heel right now in a traditional sense, right? He attacked Cody Rhodes because Cody sided with Roman. He attacked Randy Orton because Randy sided with Cody, and now he's filming videos and on his phone and all the stuff,
taking
right?
a hiatus, maybe quitting.
They're doing a really good job with this. I'm very interested in it. But Matt, I know that you wanted to kind of highlight some differences between how we approach that kind of storytelling, how we approach heel turns.
Yeah, and there was just one. It was a stark difference between, and I can't wait for the people being like, "You hate AEW." I don't, because they do so much right. But this is one of the things I've talked about it a few times on this show, and a couple times I've been proven wrong. A great example, and this speaks to what Jake was just saying about like complicated characters, layered characters are much more interesting than the base ones. So. I've always talked about one of my big pet peeves. I don't really love the sudden heel turn. I think it's boring. I think it's overdone. The swerve out of nowhere, they low blowed him. Unless we find out later, like I didn't like it at first, but then Mariah May, I liked it later. I was like, I was wrong because in that position, it made sense to lie in wait, and then strike out of nothing. I like to see the turn. It's like a TV. This is a TV show at the end. This is a weekly TV show.
Mm-hmm.
I want to. It doesn't have to interact with the person they're turning on. We see those private moments as the TV viewing audience, like you do on a sitcom or a drama, when they go, "Man, what? This guy is treating me like crap. I can't believe it." Whatever. It's just a look. It's just a moment.
Yeah.
They're talking to someone else.
The seeds being planted in any moment in time.
And it doesn't have to be, I'm gonna low blow him. You know what I mean? But you're like, there, you are.
Some interesting choice of words there, buddy, but we get the topic. We get what you're saying.
Oz is my favorite show, okay? So
that's a choice for a favorite show.
But just the idea of more often than not, I think it's interesting to see those seeds laid out. And so you meant Kevin Owens. I think they've done such a good job. This has already been going on months now from before, what was it, Germany, Bash Berlin, right?
I mean,
with
dude,
Cody.
This story has even been laid out as far as Roman's feud with KO during the pandemic, man.
Sure.
Which is why it's even more incredible. Yeah.
And then this direct one, like those early signs of just like, gosh, do I take advantage of an injury that Cody's having? No, I don't. I'm not that guy. And these changes and these cracks forming. I love it.
Yeah.
So the reason this was brought to my attention was this weekend, or was Wrestle Dream as well. It was the Kyle Fletcher turn on Will Ospreay.
Yeah.
I love Kyle Fletcher turning heel on Will Ospreay as a concept.
I do too.
I didn't like it coming and hitting him with a wrench out of nowhere in a black hood. a week after like he's tag teaming with like his best friend with no problems seemingly at all. This was not a lying in wait Mariah May situation. Yeah. This guy was we're gonna get the real explanation on Dynamite tonight when this is airing. I hope it's good. Because right now this feels like what my pet peeve is. Actually, is just like we need to turn you.
He did.
No, he didn't. So he said.
No.
He said.
No. I'm gonna. Yes, I agree with you. He did. My fucking camera. He did. He like did. He didn't really explain it, but he was like talking at the podium or some bullshit like that.
Right, and he said you don't deserve an answer.
And it made no sense.
He was just like, yeah. He was just like, I'm not gonna tell you why. And then he wrestled, and then he said again, like, I'll tell you on Dynamite. So we're supposed to get like an explanation.
Sorry, I missed that.
Which feels a little like we don't know why. We need more time.
We're buying time.
This out.
Yeah. So like, I didn't. I would have rather seen. Doesn't have to be the same thing, but I wanted to see the cracks forming in Kyle. Like, show me one or a couple of, even one. Yeah. 2 backstages with Don Callis. Be like, he's not. He's not having our family's interests in mind. You have such a, one of those kind of moments where it's just getting into the mind. The wheels are turning like, no, Don, I'm not going to, he's one of my best mates or whatever. Give me those moments. But like, oh, the seed is, this kind of out of nowhere, I don't like, especially with two people you have such good story with, you have good relationship. I think you could have told a better story over these last couple of weeks leading to the big turn. And then, because it's going to be, I think it'll be a good feud between the two of them. I love it when two friends fight like and stuff like that. It's always a good story with a lot of meat on the bone. But just those are two diametrically different ways of telling a friend turning on a friend story. And I think the other one was way more interesting.
Yeah. I think too, a lot of what you're talking about is stuff that we've talked about on this show before, which is continuity in storytelling. It's if you haven't planted the seeds, then you need to at least remember the relationships and the interactions that you've had between characters in the past. Because when you just suddenly throw those away, that's when it causes confusion in your storytelling and it just seems like a cheap trick rather than a good choice in your storytelling and character arc. Yeah. And that's something that I hit on a lot, and that I think that wrestling can be really bad at times is forgetting the history of what's happened between characters before and fabricating something just to get
a reaction,
a change in interest or a reaction.
To your point, I think what you might have even been thinking of is the podium talk. He is saying, I'm not going to tell you anything, but let me tell you this one thing. Because he did a little bit. He alluded to the idea. Is like, that's the problem. You're all chanting Will Ospreay. It's all about Will, like classic jealousy thing, right? But we didn't see any of that in the weeks of them teaming together and hanging out and doing backstage. Yeah. We didn't even get a twinge of something dissent. Rubbed Kyle the wrong way. Yeah, again, it's a TV show. I do think in a situation, in a story like that, you should, as the audience, somewhere see that, like, ooh, that didn't sit well with. Give me that sitcom moment.
Yeah. Because also, too, let's not forget. Wait, hold on. I don't know. I was trying to get you in the spot of moments. I wish I could zoom. Yeah, I agree. And I think that there is.
Side note. I think wrestling might be better with 80s and 90s sitcom audience reactions. No, audience reactions.
The studio audience.
Or can you imagine when Liv and Dominic kiss and like that? Yeah,
always that one lady. That one lady they recorded, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every time, dude, it fucking kills me. Nah, man. Honestly,
sorry. Continue.
No. I think you hit the nail on the head. That's what we got to do to fix wrestling. But realistically, man, there is certainly a lot that they could have done in that situation. I think that more often than not, what ends up occurring, because you had a very easy out with that as well, right? You could have easily, rather than making it this big ass reveal, Kyle Fletcher could have just come out conflicted, unsure of what to do. Does he betray his friend? Does he help his teammate out? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could have just done that and actually like and then when he does turn on his friend and you see that anger and frustration on his face, then it just makes a little bit more sense. But instead, he just comes out in a black hood, hits him with the same freaking highlighter colored screwdriver that Don Callis carries everywhere with him, and then that was it. And
what
it's
is
like,
TSA doing?
I don't know, man. There's a real problem out there, and I always knew TSA was shit. I always knew it. I said it. I said it.
Don't worry. I know. Callis is a sadist. He just checks his bag.
God, what a
like
monster.
a psychopath. Yeah.
He takes advantage of his TSA pre-check. What a horrible human being.
You even could have done like even if Kyle said something like, "Oh, well, as soon as we don't succeed, you're back to looking out for number one. You go straight back in, and now you're doing this triple threat match because we had a chance. We had a chance to win these titles, and now just suddenly you don't get so."
You don't
when
want
you
to
don't
pursue
need
this with
me
me
anymore.
Yeah.
When you don't need me anymore, you're gone.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
and maybe that'll be the explanation,
and
which
maybe
again,
it will, but show so right. Yeah, tease it.
They can, like I said, they can salvage and think a good story out of this coming, but like I would have liked a better one getting to here.
It feels like someone's watching the AEW stuff and they're like, "Oh yeah, you saw the way Will Ospreay didn't pay attention to Kyle Fletcher there, totally inadvertently. We can make that into a story. All right, let's go ahead and do that there. We're not going to tell anyone that we're doing this, but we're going to go ahead and do this anyway." And it's sometimes how it feels. You know, it feels like they, you know, have the right idea, but then when they want to execute on it, it oftentimes struggles to have the brevity of the moment really felt. You know,
AEW sometimes seems to have a problem with when telling a story or developing characters. It seems to be very ready, fire, aim.
Yeah.
And the biggest example of that to me is what happened with this Elite takeover.
Yeah.
You know, the Elite takeover went away because Tony didn't want to be involved. So don't get involved in the first place. And now we're rehashing it essentially
with Mox.
With Mox.
Yeah. But it's better.
Yeah.
So I can it is. And I'm actually interested to see what how the Elite fit into this. Because that is going to be a very compelling part of this story. But anyway, we'll of course yap about that as the stories continue to develop. Dynamite coming out tonight here. But next topic of discussion, and I just realized I hit the wrong button. Because I don't know if y'all know, you should know that one of the largest promotions in North America is going to have their big show this weekend, Bound.
True.
Bound for Glory. That's every time they say it, it's got to be said that way. We got some big matches on the card. The first match to talk about, and one that our dear friend young Matt got to participate in the
not the match,
but a great segment from Impact the other day with our TNA Knockouts World Championship matchup. You got Jordan Grace going up against Masha Slamovich. This is going to be a very interesting matchup. Matt, give us the preview. How was the tension, the moment, being a part of that? It was good.
It was good, and like this is a moment. This is a moment for Masha, and in a lot of ways, and that's the kind of way the story has been told. And in that discussion, they talked about it that 2 years ago, these two, when Masha first came into the company, undefeated streak, didn't talk, was just running through people.
Yeah.
Met Jordan. They had a banger of a Knockouts title match at BFG in 2022. And so now we're kind of running it back. But in that meantime, Masha's had some kind of ups and downs. And then in real life, her and Jordan have gotten very close. They're making like Instagram posts together. They're doing all that. So they're having a lot of fun. But we've kind of melded that, as often happens, into the wrestling story. So it's like, it's basically Jordan now who's been on this streak as champion. Like, yeah, she's defended the title like 20 times or something in the last like 8 months or whatever. It's kind of wild.
Across promotions.
And like, so now Jordan's like, you've become one of my best friends, but where's the killer? Yeah. I've been waiting for that killer. I've been waiting for you to come back. I've been waiting for you to step up for this title. Yeah. And now Masha's finally, her as a character feels like she's ready to do that. That side's ready to come out and maybe she got to smack around one of her best friends to kind of get that back. And so I think these two, they have great chemistry. They've gotten even closer in real life, which usually builds better chemistry. So like, I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
It's like a nice version of Mox, you know,
kind of.
like,
yeah, right.
It's like it's a better like form of motivation than you know, I've just murdered your family. What are you going to do about it?
There was one line in particular that I did want to talk about because I really liked it when Jordan Grace said, every time I put out these open challenges and every time, you know, your music doesn't hit, I take a sigh of relief. And it's like, ooh, okay, great. So now you've established here that, she's a threat. And and look, I want to see it. I want it. I want Masha to do it. I think I think Jordan Grace is incredible professional wrestler, truly generational talent, man, unreal. But I'm okay if the streak ends right now. Like I kind of want to see the rest of the women's division, and you know, I'm ready. But
I think it'd be very interesting to see Jordan reap what she sowed.
Yeah,
and not in a positive, you know, not in a positive way at all. Bringing out this monster and maybe it. I don't know. I could see Masha going to some places in this match that she maybe wouldn't have in the past couple months, year, and really just turn a corner and maybe just, you know, see a new, I think it'd be really interesting to just see this Jordan of all people unleash this monster on the Knockouts division.
Yeah. We're going to be paying attention to that one, of course, Saturday, October 26th, Bound for Glory, but there are a bunch of matches on the card, and we just talked about the TNA Knockouts World Championship, but of course you got to talk about the TNA World Championship and say his name and he appears. It's Joe Hendry going up against Nick Mother-Flippin' Nemeth.
With Frankie Kazarian as guest referee.
I forgot about that. Oh, good Lord. Yeah.
The King, baby. Mm-hmm.
What's happening here, man? What's happening?
What role is he going to play? I mean, that's the one thing, he's had his eyes on that title since he came back to TNA, even before he came back to TNA. And that's a classic story of it's the one title he's never won. So I don't know what his plan as a character or whatever in this is. I don't know. Do you screw it all up? Or you're just going to like screw both guys out of the match and ruin it? Are you trying to just keep the young, you know, the potential new champion Joe Hendry, this kind of up and coming sensation? You just kind of snuff him out to get your next opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't. This is a classic toss up because Joe is on such a ride right now.
Yeah.
It seems right to kind of crest that momentum. But then Nick hasn't been champion that long, and I think is a hell of a face for the company right now too.
Yeah. I mean,
what I think would be very interesting is Frankie basically giving the title to Joe Hendry and telling him, I called it for you because I don't think you can beat me.
Yeah.
And I want that shot next.
Yeah.
And seeing something to that effect happen, I think would be a super cool, like, I don't think you see those kind of motivations like happen a lot when you have special guest referees of like, you know, I'm going to give it to you because I think I can beat you. And I don't know, that would be pretty interesting. I think that would be a pretty interesting thing to say, because then Joe has to, because that's kind of what I feel like's been going on with Joe a lot, is he has to continually prove himself.
That's true. Yeah.
And he's had to do it in TNA, he's had to do it in NXT. And I think it'd be something for him to reach the top of the mountain and still not feel fulfilled because of a dirtbag like Frankie Kazarian.
Yeah, like a tainted reign.
Yeah,
almost.
sure.
Yeah. And you know what, too? Another thing, what about John Layfield? What's going on?
What about JBL?
Yeah. What the hell is going on there? Because it's been brought up a few times now, and I could easily see John Layfield coming in once Frankie Kazarian tries to, you know, do some shenanigans, do some bullshit.
Clothesline, tears off his jacket. Now he's got a ref shirt on.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. That'd be such a moment. That'd be so ridiculous, but I'd be all about it. Yeah, I honestly do not know who wins this. There are a million directions you can go. I feel like they're all fine. I think TNA is an abundance of riches right now with the amount of talent that they have. It's actually
Whoever
insane.
wins, great representative of TNA.
Couldn't agree more.
Without, well, you couldn't ask for better.
The two biggest faces in the company, literally, going up against one another for the biggest prize in the company. I mean, come on, man. I can't wait. It's going to be a banger match too, because, when has Nick Nemeth not had a good match?
Yeah, I mean, the guy can't really have bad matches.
It's impossible, bro.
And to your point, Joe, Joe is going to continue looking to prove himself, both like as a character, but as a legitimate person. I know he is. I know he keeps wanting to step up and up and up and up and rise to this momentum with it. He doesn't want to fumble underneath it. So I think he's highly motivated.
Could there be any NXT shenanigans potentially?
So it's still possible, still going. Yeah. So who knows?
Any leaks you want to give us, Matt? Any leaks?
I got nothing.
Any leaks?
Listen, I feel like if anyone in that company is kept in the dark,
it's that guy right there. That guy.
I get my booking information.
I don't even think Hannafin tells him everything. I don't know if he even has. I don't even think he has Hannafin's number. To be honest,
I have odd number. I don't know if it's his legit one.
Hannafin admitted as much, so I'm sure. All right, folks. Well, TNA Bound for Glory is going to be incredible. It's this Saturday. You can get it on pay-per-view. You can get it pretty much everywhere, right? I think just like AEW, it's available.
TNA Plus. TNA Plus is the big one that we want. That
okay.
We obviously want as many people to. There's a special deal going on for the app and like extra content and everything. But so like that's the big one.
Okay, so TNA Plus, do that. Support them. TNA has been fucking great. Okay, I mean this genuinely. I know Matt works for the company, and I'm not trying to say this as a. To like,
and the Hardys are going to be in a ladder match, so that should sell you too.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah.
The Hardys in a freaking ladder match, man.
It's Full Metal Mayhem, but it's essentially a hardcore ladder match. So.
And they're going up against the System and ABC, bro. Yeah. It's going to be crazy.
Wild.
It's going to be nutty. You also have Mike Santana versus Moose. That's also going to be another banger. Josh Alexander versus Steve Macklin. X Division, El Hijo del Vikingo is going to be going up against Mike Bailey. And then, of course, the Digital Media Championship matchup, Matt Cardona versus PCO. Again, great across the board. You're going to love it. Tune in this weekend. And subscribe to TNA on YouTube because they post highlights and they kind of keep you updated on all the storylines and what things are going down. So definitely a good resource to check out. But all right, well, look, guys, throughout the last few weeks and all the way leading up to the Royal Rumble, we have been making our predictions for who we think is going to win the Royal Rumble. And guys, guess what? We got a graphic. It's who's winning the Royal Rumble.
Rumble alert.
Rumble alert. There you go. Now I need a sound effect. Damn it. Okay, we'll work on that one later. All right.
Needs to be like that LA QuakeBot Twitter account where it just like just shakes it. Yeah.
All right. So here it is. So for myself, I've picked for the last 3 weeks CM Punk to win the Rumble. And then I had Chelsea Green, Rhea Ripley, and Naomi. I've been back and forth. Matt had Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and then Adam Pearce, followed by Chelsea Green, and then returning Charlotte Flair. And then Jake had Bronson Reed, Kevin Owens twice, and he's all over the place on the women's side. Roxanne Perez, Alexa Bliss to the return, or Raquel Rodriguez, which was his last prediction in week 3. So, fellas, who do we want to predict this week? How are we feeling? How are we feeling the winds blowing, in the Royal Rumble picture? How's it looking?
It's still early.
I'll be honest. I still like my picks last week. I still like Kevin Owens to win it, and I like Raquel Rodriguez because she even had a moment backstage where they had a pre-shot package for her talking about wanting to beat the hell out of Rhea Ripley. I don't know. I'm gonna stick with that. I'm gonna stick with those because I think I like those so far. I'm feeling good about it.
Okay. All right. So Kevin Owens
sticking to my
again,
guns.
Raquel Rodriguez for Jake. Matt, what about you? You sticking with Adam Pearce?
No, I'll move on from the Raw GM. Maybe, Nick Aldis, maybe. No.
The final two are Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis.
Hey, battle of the brands, man.
Yeah.
No, I think I am going to jump on the Kevin Owens train for the guys.
Okay.
It's just I'm digging where he's going. I'm going to take a little bit of a swing here in the women's. I'm going to say Liv Morgan.
Liv Morgan.
I think she might lose the title before then, but with some Dom Mysterio and some shenanigans, something she hasn't done yet. And I know how much they like her and they, want to see her continue to be on top. So I can see her losing it in some wild fashion, but then through all her classic Judgment Day Dom shenanigans, pulls that out and adds that to her resume.
Okay. All right. That's cool. I like that. All right. Kevin Owens and Liv Morgan. So back to Kevin Owens. Sorry, Adam Pearce. It ain't happening this time, pal. All right. For me, I'm sticking with CM Punk. I still believe CM Punk is going to win the Royal Rumble. I don't see a reason why he wouldn't. I at this point in time, the reason why is he's off of TV. He's going to be off of TV for a hot minute. And because they don't want him to get injured.
So is Kevin Owens, and no fault of his own.
Yeah, that's fair. I think Kevin Owens is going to be in a title match in the Royal Rumble, which is why I don't think he's going to be even in it. But you never know.
Unless he loses that match and then enters the Rumble after and wins it.
That's true. Now, I'm applying the same logic on the other side of the fence here, and I thought about Naomi because I was like, oh yeah, but the thing is when you think about like the winner of the Royal Rumble, right? You think about the moment. You think about who excites you in the moment, right? Who's like going to generate the most attention with that win. And you know what, guys? It's fucking Chelsea Green. I still think I'm going back. I'm going back to Chelsea Green, man. I really do think because she's been off TV for a while. Well, not off, but she hasn't really been like, she just did the dumpster match. She's in a lot of feuds that are just kind of like keeping her over to the side. And it will be a great opportunity for her to sneak in a Rumble win. Like it just feels something in my gut's telling me that, but who knows? Maybe my gut can change next week. So we want to hear from you guys. Put in the comment section down below. Or just, who do you think? Just think about it, right? Who do you think is going to win the Royal Rumble this week? Based on what you've been watching.
Place your early bets now.
Place your early bets now. Okay, what are we betting? I don't know. We'll figure it out. It'll probably be like a slap bet or something like that. Who knows? except I lose.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. You see, I don't know if I want to get slapped by the wrestler.
Now I'm going to start taking this seriously.
So, well, if we want actual stakes, maybe we can ask the community to like come up with actual stakes for us.
Oh boy.
And then we can maybe play around with that. All right. Well, there you have it, folks. Royal Rumble predictions are in. We'll, of course, keep tabs of that next week. But that leads us to our favorite segment of the show and the last segment, which is our Rebook 24/7 Champion of the Week. Rebook Champion of the Week. All right. This, of course, we give it to the person, place, thing, or whatever that just made us laugh, happy, or just elicited an emotion this week. There are a lot of things to laugh at and things to have fun with. Who wants to go first?
I will go first because I feel like it had been a while since I saw this in wrestling. And I just, for some reason, I'm sure it hasn't. I'm sure it's been all along, but it caught my attention. This week's Monday Night Raw in particular. But let's give a shout out to the material that supported about 70% of the roster on Monday night. Let's give it up for pleather. Nice, shiny, black pleather. From Liv Morgan's skirt to Seth Rollins' pants. You thought it went out of style in the late 90s with people like Kid Cash. But no, man. Like,
pleather.
It was back, and it was in full force. So
there was an abundance.
There's a lot
of
like
pleather.
Black, shiny pleather, and it was just doing work.
Yeah.
So,
okay. All right. I like it. All right. Mine. Jake, you'll go last, right? I think you have yours.
Okay.
We'll go last for you. I haven't really thought much about it because, I was like doing the show and I realized I completely forgot to pick a Rebook 24/7 Champion of the Week. So what I'm going to do is just go to my default. Bronson Reed, baby. My 24/7 champion. Oh, he's on a run, people. Bronson's winning this feud. He's winning this feud with Seth Rollins. There's no way that Bronson loses. If he loses, it's fumbling the bag. Bronson Reed is on a course for the stars. Okay. And I am so excited. I'm so excited. All right, Jake, your turn. Who is your Rebook 24/7 champion of the week?
Well, I sent you something.
Good.
I'll okay. You know, my 24/7 champion of the week. I've missed him. Missed him. I've missed him so much.
Yeah.
In my heart of hearts, I want him to win the Royal Rumble. I want him to come back and win the Royal Rumble. But at least I know that while he's not around, he's at least keeping his fighting spirits up.
That's good. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And this man has been a champion before. He was apparently a champion again today as of this recording.
Yep.
And he will be a champion for me now. My rebooked 24/7 champion of the week is Big E for kicking the shit out of Tom Hannafin.
45-0.
45-0. Never mind the fact that Hannafin picked Arizona, which he claimed after I asked him on Twitter was to make it fair. Brother, 45-0 ain't fair. I don't know what. Like, that is a trouncing. That is a trouncing. And I'll tell you what, I propose a rematch between the two on this very program. That's what I propose.
I support it.
I want to stream a rematch on Rebooked's channel between Big E and Tom Hannafin.
I will host it.
And I will also we'll commentate
it.
Yes.
Brother, book it.
I am doubling down. I'm changing my vote to Big E. And he's a double star this week. You know why? Because you know what else he did? I saw him with his lady love posted Halloween picture, like costume picture. And do you know who he chose?
Who?
He chose the Danny DeVito Penguin. But not in the suit and top hat, in the gross stained onesie covered in like brown crap. Oh yeah, it was on Instagram. I love you, Etor. Oh my god! When I saw that I was walking my dog and almost tripped. It made me so happy.
That is incredible.
I'm trying to find it. Oh my god!
Yeah, I don't know where else I saw besides IG. Go find Big E's IG.
Oh my god, bro!
That is,
dude.
Yes.
He's wearing the like his under outfit.
Yes.
His
Oh
underwear.
my god.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
With the
legend,
stains
bro.
and everything. Oh, it was so
Big
good.
E 24/7 champion
Big
of the
E
week.
wins
Forever
the
champion.
multiple
Undisputed.
times over.
Forever champion. There you have it, folks. All right, well, that's going to do it for us here at Rebook. Fun episode today. Big shout out to everyone who tuned in. We hit 900 subs. We're right there to 1,000 subs, and we're going to do a big trivia game if we hit that. So make sure you guys are subbing, letting people know what's going on over here, spreading the good word. But that's going to do it for us. We thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next week right here, same time, same place. We'll see you then. Peace.